Hello, I am Adrienne Chapman, a lecturer on COMP3218. We are here today to do a Let's Play of Coursework 1. With me today is...
Ioan Daniel Marinov, one of the demonstrators on the course.
And as part of this coursework, the students were asked to provide a game that demonstrates a core dynamic as well as an understanding of tutorial and leveling. Should we
Yeah,
start with our first game?
yeah, okay.
Here we are with Dungeon Quest.
Interesting, nice art, looks.
Yeah.
And
Cute music in the background.
yeah, so there's nothing else but yeah, let's play. So, oh, so
Oh, I
there's,
like the little infographic.
yeah, so it's, I mean, yeah, let's see. D2, move right, left, and, oh, let me just lower the music a bit because
While
even
you're
I,
doing that, it looks like we've got some health hearts and a kill counter.
yes. And I can't do anything else but go to the right, so let's see, left mouse button I assume this is,
Yeah, that looks like a mouse.
and then right mouse button, shield. Aha, okay, so yeah, it's attack and shield,
All right.
and I can see an enemy. I can try to
Run away.
shield myself. Oh, okay,
Oh, you've lost a heart.
and once again. I'm just trying to get the timing for the.
Yeah.
Let's see, and I'll attack it now.
Look at this, the horror, the groaning.
Yeah, reach the
What
end.
happens if you run away from this person? Run
Let's-
away! Reach the end.
Okay. The lighting is nice and how it shows you kind of helps you with
It,
the jumps.
it
Can
does.
I?
Can you jump over it? Yeah, jump and
Yeah.
run. Jump and run. I don't want to fight these people. They groan too loud.
Okay. And oh. I mean, let's. I want to just try. Oh.
Oh, you lose a lot of damage pretty quick. Gosh, that dying sound is
Yeah.
awful. Wonderfully awful.
Can I? Oh. So I. Oh. I. Oh.
Oh,
Oh. Okay.
oh,
So.
you finished the end. Okay.
So I can. Oh. Okay. I suppose this would be. He would be firing. Fireballs, and I can jump over them.
Okay. Or, yeah.
Ah. Okay. So they're tutorializing the. I can. So at least, so in this case, because the enemy is doesn't have armor, it's easier to kill. Ah, and I can shield myself. Ah, so I can,
Rebound the
yeah,
weaponry.
deflect.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, can I? Is that going to? Ah, okay. There's no friendly fire. Also, is that going to fall? Ow. Oh, oh,
Oh, that was a pit of death as opposed to a
yeah,
restart the level, maybe?
yeah, I fell down by mistake.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was actually an okay pit for you to go down like all the others.
Maybe, but
But no.
maybe because it's so dark, it's a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. And I can choose to not actually kill him here if I wanted.
Yep.
Oh. Cool. Oh, okay. I'll do that. Okay, so I guess the only thing here is to actually fall.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe? Uh-oh.
Oh,
Maybe you're...
wait. I have the kill counter here. I didn't see that. So
Yeah.
I actually have to kill them.
Do you? Do you think you have to?
It feels like it, because when I got to the end there wasn't anything else. Did he? Yeah, okay. So... Oh, no, no. Oh no. I'm scared to... Okay.
He'll just die. It's the very beginning anyways.
Yeah, so I do... Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. And the... Deflect... Oh no, not again.
You're doing it again.
Okay,
All right, well,
so...
you try to master this level. I'm going to
Yeah.
go through some of the marking criteria that we're seeing so far. So we're going to start first with quality, which involves presentation and meaningful play. Presentation is the first sub-criteria we're going to look at, which is around information design, graphics, and audio. So actually, let's just start with the audio straight off. We've got some really nice background music. We've got some wonderfully horrible groans that are making me giggle. I think it's complimentary and appealing. A little bit monotonous, so I'm not going to say it's sophisticated, but I think it's yeah, complimentary and appealing effects and music, right?
It feels like it. The lighting is really, like, it feels really nice, and I think adds to the atmosphere of the game as well.
Yes, I agree. The sounds of the that happens, and even the bangs and clashes of the swords. So yeah, I like that part of it. It's very nice. Then we're going to talk about graphics. So, again, consistent, effective, and appealing graphics. I think we're very clearly in that category.
Yeah, I agree.
And now we're going to talk about information design. So basically what we're looking for is that all information is clearly shown. So far we've got your hearts, your kill counter. Here's my wonder is I'm actually not sure what the point of this game is yet. Like, I still feel like we're just practicing moves, and what are we doing here? What's the core dynamic, or what's the point of this? And so I'm wondering if we are seeing all of the right information, because yeah. What is it here? What's the point?
Okay, so now you conquered the dungeon. Oh, okay. So
we're gonna play again.
I think that was the whole tutorial.
The whole game.
And the game, yeah.
Okay.
So
let's.
I think it starts off with this kill counter here, 0 out of 1, and you can't do anything else, but move around, and then you see a person.
What happens if you just jump over him? Can you get out of here without killing him?
Yeah, no, I think you have to.
You have to kill.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's say in this case that I do think that there's key information is shown clearly.
Yeah. Although
Okay.
in this case, you saw how in the previous one of the previous times I played through the whole level, and then I saw kill counter 0 out of 6 or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that just might be me.
Yeah. I think it was us playing the game and not really noticing. We'll give it to that. We'll say that was the breeze on this one.
Yeah.
So the other part of quality is meaningful play, which includes mechanics, controls, and bugs. So let's start with the easy one, bugs. I actually think that I haven't seen any bugs at all, which is good.
There were a few small things. Like very, very minor things with the controls. For example, when you jumped exactly on the edge, you got stuck.
Let's talk about that under controls. So let's just talk purely about bugs. I think my question here, though, becomes, is the game very simple? So, is the game so simple So there are no bugs, but the game is very simple.
Ah,
So if the game is very simple, even if there are no serious bugs, we're kind of down at a pass level.
yeah.
And so I think some of the question becomes, you know, how simple is this game? So let's just talk that through for a moment.
So
You have a few mechanics with the keyboard, right? Running and jumping. You've
yeah.
got a few pieces with the mouse to do shield and sword.
Yeah.
You
have
have
the
a few
enemies.
different types of enemies. Yep.
You know, the magician and the wizard and the warrior. So
Yeah. I'm not going to say that it's super simple, but I also don't think it's reasonably complex. So I think we're going to go somewhere in between those two.
feels like that, yeah.
Yep. So now let's talk about controls, where you actually were mentioning a few. So in this case, we've already talked about the controls, your keyboard and your mouse. And the question is, are they reasonable set of usable controls, or is there some challenge to some of them?
I think they're. Oh. I think they feel pretty good. There's just a bit of delay between, you know, attacking and shooting, but I guess that's kind of part of the, you know, game.
Sure, sure. So I think from what the feedback I've got from you, we're going to say it's a reasonable set of usable controls, but maybe not necessarily a reasonable set of smooth usable controls.
Yeah, and for example, here in this place, I had difficulty a few times
Yeah.
of
Yep.
jumping, and I have to like do some, you know, try to. Yeah, like I'm not sure what I'm doing, but sometimes I jump higher.
It's never easy for you, is it? Yes. Okay, so let's talk about mechanics. So basically what we're looking for is, we've already kind of listed that there are some mechanics and they seem complementary. So the question we're going to come down to is, do we have a set of mechanics or a wide set of mechanics? I don't think we're at a wide set of complex and complementary mechanics. I think we're somewhere between those other two. So let's list off the mechanics we have. We can run, jump, slash with a sword, or aim with a shield.
Yeah. And also deflect, I suppose, the fireballs.
Okay, so you can choose then to use those basic pieces. So from those mechanics you can build up, and you can either choose to as a dynamic, you could deflect the fireball with that shield to kill somebody, you could stab them with a sword, you could run away from them, etc. Okay, so I actually think at this point we've got a set of complementary mechanics. I don't know that we're all the way up at a wide set yet.
Yeah. It feels like a few things could be added for it to be a wide set.
So let's talk about the next set of criteria, which is fulfilling the brief. So within fulfilling the brief, we're going to talk about level design that includes goals, risks, rewards, and pacing, and also the tutorial. Let's start with goals, risks, rewards, and pacing. And this, I think, is actually where this game might be having a bit of problems, because the goal is to get to the end of the level, but I do not understand the risks or rewards. In particular, what are the rewards? There's nothing that says, oh, if you're at this level of health, you've got through it okay, or if you get through it fast enough, then you get an extra resource, or there's no reward. And the only risk is accidentally running into a fireball. And in fact, there's like even a limited set of there's limited agency here, because you're being told you have to kill everybody in order to finish the level. Yeah. So I'm really struggling. Like, I think in this game, there is no attempt at a goals, risk, reward. It's absent.
Oh. Yes, yeah, I'm not sure. Uh, so what's the goal? Reach the end, for example.
Yep.
And I can do it as fast as possible. Jumping
Yep.
over. Yeah, I see what you mean. Mm. And the risks, yeah.
The what's the risk? Yeah. So this one you've got a kill counter, so it's basically telling you what you have to do um, in order to kind of finish, right?
Yeah. Although I suppose because this is a tutorial, or that
Yeah.
those two
Yeah.
are tutorials.
Those are two kind of trials. So at this point, though, you still have a kill counter. Like you're being told you have to kill everybody, um, and that's it, right? They're done. There's no reason for you to go faster, go slower, go a different way, make any different set of decisions.
Yeah. I
So
think
yeah.
you're right on that.
Yep. So let's talk about pacing. So, um, tension, I think, somewhat rises over time or clearly rises over time in some way. So in this case,
I think it definitely rises, so it does get harder because of
okay,
those, wizards, and the levels themselves kind of feel a bit harder because there's more enemies, so there's definitely pacing, and
good, good. So we'll say basically that the pacing rises clearly over time. Very good. Let's move on now to tutorial. And what we're looking at is, well, we're hoping for things like a gradual explanation of gameplay and controls fully aligned with play. And I think they've actually definitely nailed that one.
yeah, so it's like you start off here.
Yep.
You can't do really a lot, so you have to move. And then, left mouse click and the graphics, kind of show, but then there's an actual enemy. And
Agreed.
you can practice on that. I wonder if you can die. I mean, I think you can die here.
Yeah, try to die. And while you're doing that, so the next category up from gradual explanation is gradual explanation of gameplay and controls fully aligned with play and sometimes communicated through level design. Now, this is where I struggle a little bit because there's clearly a level, particularly in the tutorial levels, where you're first teaching about the sword or the run and jump, and then the sword, and you have to kill somebody, then you bring in the fireball. So there's definitely this gradual explanation, and it's done through level design, but I struggle with these levels because you only are learning the core mechanics of how to use the tools. You're not learning anything that provides you agency. Like we come back to the problem of goals, risks, reward. So I'm not entirely sure they reach that category for this one.
Although I do feel in here, so you have, the fireball tutorial.
Yep.
It shows you can jump and then I can attack. Oh. Attack. And then this feels, like communication through level design where you cannot get to him normally, so you have to use, the shield.
Ah, that is very nice. That is very nice. Yes.
Continue.
Okay. So actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll put them about halfway between.
Yeah.
So that's
But yeah, I do think they're not quite there, but there are some, things to do with that.
Yeah. There are pieces that they've done very nicely for that. Yes. So now let's talk about the core dynamic of this particular game. And I think this is actually another place where it's going to come out that maybe it's not really a game that we're playing at this point. So let's see. What do we think is the core dynamic of this game?
To me, it feels like it's destruction, maybe.
So I think it is too. And they think it is too. And
because of the kill counter here.
Yeah, the kill counter definitely helps. and the fact that you get through the level only by killing. I think that there are just, I think they have hit the core dynamic. I think they could have hit it on the head a lot harder. So, for example, you could do various things, like maybe if you use your shield with a potion that you put on your shield, you could kill with a fireball lots of enemies at the same time. So you could kill where there's like there's two knights at the same time. It can kill two knights, but maybe it weakens you, so you lose half a heart of health.
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
you have a choice then around what you're going to deploy, and you can kill more people at once, right? So right now it's destruction, but you're kind of just going mildly from one person to the next to get to destruction.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think let's see where we are in terms of the marking criteria itself. I think we're at a clear dynamic, so we're somewhere between a clear dynamic that is partially supported by the primary mechanics. I don't think we're all the way up to a clear core dynamic that is supported by the primary mechanics. I think we're probably halfway between those two.
Yeah. There are elements of destruction, but not as pronounced as...
Yeah, it's not like destroy it all.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, and then our final part of this marks is to talk about feedback. So as part of their game, they were given feedback, and then they were supposed to reflect upon it and change their game as needed. So they received a few points of feedback. The first was to think of ways to differentiate good and great players, rewarding players who managed to utilize more skillful strategies. We thought the addition of a reflection mechanic on the fireball did this well, as it gave players multiple ways of attacking several of the wizard enemies. One was slightly easier, but more time-consuming, and the other more timing-based but faster. So I think I love the fireball mechanic.
Yeah.
But the problem here is that there's no risk to doing either of those. So they're talking about timing, that it takes so much time, but because there's no information around time and how fast you complete a level, like, who cares? You could take all day to do this. So there's no risk or reward attached to timing. So this choosing of when to use a fireball or when to just stab, it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't have any meaning. So the second piece of feedback that they were given was to think about letting the player go back to the tutorial after they had completed it if they want to. They implemented this in the death screen, meaning when the player died on a level, they could choose to either retry the level or go back to the start of the game. And I actually love checkpoints where you can kind of go back to the level. Personally, I'm really bad at remembering controls. It's great. So I think that part of the feedback was really nicely done. So I think for where we are in feedback, I think where the feedback was addressed, but the changes have had limited success.
Yeah. I think I agree.
All right, and I think that marks the end of our play of Dungeon Quest. Ended on a groan.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next game.
All right, on we go to Legends of League.
Yeah, nice play on the name there. So, what do we have? We have a start button, a control button, and a quit button. So let me check the controls quickly. So WSD to move, shoot with the right click, and melee with the left. You can shoot
and then you can shoot and melee at the same time. So here we have an example very clearly of telling, not showing, right? So in this case, we just have some words. We're not practicing these skills at all. But go ahead. Let's see if we practice in some start. Exactly.
Oh, so I do have the.
Now that's okay. So. Oh, and it
So,
makes you practice. Oh, now
oh,
I'm much happier.
okay, okay,
Much
yeah, yeah, yeah.
happier.
So every time when I actually do it, it goes. Yeah, that's nice. I like it.
Yep, me too. Ooh, special eggs.
We spawn after each wave on the platforms below. Ah, those here. Choose one, melee to destroy it and gain its upgrades. Aha, so I have to destroy it. Can I? Ah, okay, so this is just showing me how it would look like here, but I can't actually, do anything with it.
Okay. You've got damage, you've got bullet speed, you've got melee knockback, you got some
And
health.
health.
Okay. And you're supposed to press G to start.
Okay, let's see. So enemies remaining 0, wave 1. Oh, it
Oh,
found
enemies
4.
are going out, that's for sure.
Oh, I can see
Oh, there
them.
they are.
So I I like the animation.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I like also the fact that the health is shown after I start, you know, killing them.
Yep, yep. You know exactly how far they've got to go. All right, now, whoa, you're gonna have a common egg. This egg gives 10 damage. This egg gives, I can't quite read that.
Spear
Oh, and a shotgun.
and a shotgun.
Mm.
One thing that I'm a bit like I don't like is that they showed the common, rare, and the other one, and I already forgot which one was which.
Mm-hmm.
I think
And
this
does
is
and
rare, but
yeah, that is rare, exactly. But really, there's two of them there, and are they any
uh,
more special to damage or a type of,
exactly.
yeah.
And what does having a spare mean? Is it longer range maybe?
Yeah.
But the shotgun, I guess that makes like I know what a shotgun does.
How does a melee work with shotguns? But okay, go ahead.
Uh, let's see. Ah, okay.
Ah.
So, oh, okay, they're a bit faster now, and I think
Oh.
they have more health. Oh, okay, so this egg gives a sword. This egg gives 40 max health and fully restores health. And this
Why
egg
would you
gives a
want a sword?
shotgun. Yeah, I mean I already have a sword, so I think this one is the
Well, why don't you get a shotgun again?
maybe yeah. Does it? Maybe it. Oh oh oh, that's fast.
It started.
Uh,
All right, while you do that and you keep figuring out the difference of the eggs, we will start running through our marking criteria again. So, as usual, we're going to start with the quality around presentation, audio, graphics, and information design. How's that audio?
so I don't know if you can hear this or the recording can pick it up, but uh, there
I can hear the
is
shotgun.
yeah. So there are quite a few sound effects. Shotgun when you do the spear, uh, and I think when you break an egg, there is no sound when they die, but that's a minor thing.
Is there background music?
Oh, and yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I also get hit, there's like a groan. I got hit, and the background music is like, uh, how do I explain it? Dubstep, but very. I guess it's thematical in a sense. It does work.
Okay, so it's complementary. We've got some nice audio for both effects and for sound. And the graphics themselves are consistent and effective.
Yeah.
Are they? I actually think they're
Oh.
kind of appealing too. I actually really like it. Oh gosh, these are big bads.
Yeah.
Um, all right. And then finally, we've got information design around is all the information presented that we would expect? And before you died, we were talking about, so we know how many enemies are remaining in a particular wave. We know what wave we're on. We know what damage, bullet speeds, melee knockback, and health. We did notice there was some oddness around
Ooh.
what was described about these eggs. And I struggle to understand, although maybe it's just me, the difference between the different types of weapons that are on offer and their good, their badness, or what's special or not special about them, right? So I do think that they actually have presented the information that they need in this. I think they might have added more around those eggs than they actually needed to. So I
Yeah,
think all information is shown clearly.
it feels like it.
Yep. Let's
Whoa.
then talk about the other part of quality, which involves meaningful play, which includes bugs, controls, and mechanics. I haven't seen any bugs yet. Um,
Yeah. Ooh, legendary sword.
ooh,
So
um,
I already have like 78 out of 100 health, so I'm kind of contemplating should I get the restore health, even though,
mm,
so you know, there for later there's already some risk and reward here, but we
mm-hmm,
can talk about that later.
absolutely.
So
Um, for bugs and reasonable complexity, don't jump ahead. So, there are no obvious bugs that I've seen, and the question then becomes around kind of um, is it how complex is this game?
yeah,
So you move around, you can shoot. There is spawning of different bad guys with different health bars attached to them. You have different weapons. I'm actually going to say we're reasonably complex, and there are no obvious bugs on it.
yeah, it feels like there's quite a few things going on.
Yeah, yeah. Then let's talk about controls. How do those controls feel? Are they smooth and usable? Are they usable?
They're definitely smooth and usable. They feel quite nice. The camera also, you know, the way that it pans towards where you point.
Okay.
The
Are they
movement feels natural.
intuitive, smooth, and usable?
I think yes. It definitely, you know, there wasn't any point where I'm like, okay, what did I have to press here? It feels, yeah, intuitive, and the way
Excellent.
they've done it, yeah.
All right, now let's talk about the mechanics they've put on offer. So you can run, you can shoot, you can choose your weapon. And when I say shoot, you could shoot with a shotgun, you can shoot with just the sword. I guess it's not really shooting, you can kill with the sword. You have a spear. You can choose your weapon. You can choose your egg, which either changes your weapon or your health. Um, have we exalt you can run around.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I think that's mostly.
All right. So, to be honest, I think I'm going to go back to that information design for just a moment. I know we kind of walked through it already, but I think one of the key pieces that's actually missing in this information design is you have, as I just described, you have multiple types of weapons, right? You've got the sword, you've got the shotgun, you've got a spear, and each of these things have the amount of damage they inflict, how fast they are, right? Their knockback, or how much they take out of you. And none of like we see it on the side, but we can't make actually a choice about those things
Mm,
with the eggs.
yeah, it kind of introduces a random element.
It does to produce them. And I think it would actually be a little bit like you even said this. I know we're not quite a goals versus reward, so I'm the one kind of jumping forward a
Huh.
little bit. Um, but you could make an informed decision around health. Like, oh, I'm actually at 75% and I need to, do I want to get health or do I want to get the better weapon? That's awesome. The hard part now, or the hard part was missing because of some of that information design um, is that there's nothing there in terms of making that decision around the weapons. So I think actually I'm gonna knock I'm not gonna knock. I think I'm gonna change the marking on that
Ah,
information design from all key information is shown clearly to most key information is shown.
Yeah.
Because I think actually just that one component of changing that information design actually has that impact on the goals, risks, rewards, which we're going to get to and we haven't even started talking about yet because we haven't finished mechanics. So we have, I think we definitely have a set of complementary mechanics. And the question is, do we have a wide set of complementary mechanics?
Uh, I. It feels like there's quite a few mechanics from what I can, like the shooting,
Yes.
the uh, mil the sword,
Yep.
then the choosing the eggs.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree. I think it's a wide set in this case. So I agree with that. All right, let's move on then to, um, we're going to talk about fulfilling the brief. So the first is level design that includes goals, with rewards, and pacing, and the second is tutorial. So we've already kind of had a few times of the discussion around clear and coherent goals, risks, rewards. So the goal is obvious, survive as long as you can. The
although,
risks, go ahead.
I just got to a windscreen.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Good job. You beat the game. Um, the where were we? Oh, goals were
The
short. Okay,
ghost.
so
Yeah.
let's assume they did it because they felt they need to provide some endpoints to this, but that the goal would be survive as long as you can through as many
Yeah.
waves.
Yeah.
The risks is that you run out of health or you're not fast enough with a good enough weapon. The rewards are depending on how you do or what you choose, you survive longer or shorter. And you have some agency in that in terms of choosing those eggs. So I think it's a clear and coherent set of goals, risks, rewards in this set.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely.
And I think it would be even better if um, if there was the better information around those eggs to facilitate that choice. So better information design there.
Yeah,
So let's
one
talk
thing
about.
that I'm worried about, I don't
Mm,
think it has happened, and maybe they've coded it so it doesn't happen, but at some point, I had two eggs, common eggs that said uh, this egg is a sword, and then another one with something else, and I already had like a very good weapon that I didn't want to,
get rid of.
swap, and I'm just worry that maybe if you get three common eggs with bad
Yeah,
weapons, you
you
don't
lose your
really have
cool
a
weapon.
choice. But maybe
Yep,
because it hasn't happened until now, I maybe they've thought
maybe they
about
actually
that.
thought about
So
it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. It would that would definitely be a mistake on their part. And we can just keep watching as we play. Let's talk about pacing. So I do think that tension rises over time in a coherent pattern.
uh, the thing is, again, this is interesting because you could get a legendary weapon right at the start because I kind of got this legendary sword already,
Yeah.
which does make it easier at the start, but yeah, I guess it does get
So
harder.
yeah. So maybe it's um tension rises over time in a coherent pattern. Um
Because of the randomness, that's a bit.
yeah, so maybe knock it down between because the other one would be tension clearly rises over time. And I think they'd do a little bit better than that. So maybe halfway between those two.
Yeah, 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 that
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay. So let's now move on to tutorial. So, it's funny because when we started this and we were looking at
Uh,
controls, I was bah humbug,
yeah,
no good. But actually, I liked their tutorial. I liked that you couldn't actually finish it until they had clearly tracked that you had practiced the moves.
yeah.
Um, it wasn't necessarily aligned with play. That's
Ah,
the only part where it falls down a bit. Um,
yeah, it doesn't like give you an enemy to practice on or a
yeah,
dummy or something.
exactly, exactly. So there's a clear explanation of
Of that.
of gameplay and controls, but it's not revealed as you play.
Yeah. Where does that put it?
That puts it actually just under a pass.
Mm.
And I think, I mean, I have pushed it up as high as possible because they did at least force you to do it before they let the game move on. Um, which at least they stop it as, you know, they don't let you keep playing until you have practiced.
Yeah, yeah, that's.
Yeah. So, core dynamic. What do we think the core dynamic of this game is?
Oh, that's. Now that you mentioned that, it feels like a mix between survival or destruction. And now that you ask that, I am not sure. Because I do have a lot of fun destroying the enemies. And the
Yeah.
waves are more like afterthought, but at the same time, I am trying to survive.
Yeah. So that is pretty much exactly their statement. The core dynamic of this game is survival supported by destruction. Uh,
Yeah,
so they were a little bit muddled there as well. I don't think it's a bad muddling. I actually think the dynamic, you know, plays very well. It's an enjoyable game because you're destroying, destroying, destroying in order to survive. Um, is there anything that they could be doing slightly differently to really nail that core dynamic?
yeah, that's a hard one. Mm.
Um,
Because it feels like for survival, it would need something like uh, something that's constantly ticking down, for example, like
mhm.
not health but hunger, and you have to try to keep it up.
Yep. So that you survive so many waves before your fatigue sets in, or yeah, or you're too hungry to move, right?
Yeah,
Um, so I do think, though, I'm going to say though that it's a clear core dynamic that's supported by primary mechanics. I think they're okay with that. I don't think it goes any higher than that though, because I think there are things that could have reinforced one mechanic or one dynamic over another.
mm,
And then finally, we're going to talk about feedback. So let's read their feedback. Feedback, they were told their design was a bit torn between survival and destruction. So they eliminated UI variables that were geared toward destruction, like score,
ah,
and changed it into enemies remaining. So I agree, that was actually a really well done one. Um, they focused on the rising tension of energy waves to make it feel like there's a progression to a climax that ends the game. And to do that, they made the waves increasingly difficult. I think they did great on that. Um, they make it also difficult by the variety of enemies and the numbers and their attack damage, the amount of damage it gives to health.
yeah. Although that's the only other thing that I'm not sure, because when I get hit, I don't know who hit me and how much. Like I
Uh,
don't realize it, so
right.
I just try to not get hit.
Yes, yes. Um, as the game progresses, oh, I say, sorry, we changed our dynamic to give the player more choice in terms of what power-up he receives. As the game progresses, the player feels rewarded as the power-ups from the end of every round build up to a flexible power decided by the eggs the player chooses. That power could be geared towards a melee or ranged weapon. Um, this gives the player the element of randomness and risk, depending on how he balances the power-ups. He might not be strong enough to defeat the later waves. Um, if he's chosen too much damage and lacks utility, he won't be able to survive hits from enemy and die faster. So, um, I just want to say for a second, don't assume that your player is a guy. It could be a woman playing this game. So let's try, he or she or they. Um, but so this kind of comes back where you were going you on with what happens with the eggs? Like, do they replace your weapons, or do you not have enough to go forward? So I think they might have done that intentionally, and it does seem like that you don't replace like you don't replace your weapons. You just
Yeah,
may or may not have the I think I think possibly this needs to be expanded further, right? Better information design. You could have a little inventory, like even if you can't really choose through, at least knowing what you have now would be a very good statement of information on the screen. Um, yeah. So I think they started going there. They heard the feedback, they expressed it well. They could have taken it a lot further and a little bit more successfully. So I think for feedback, they are clearly in. Feedback was addressed. Changes have been somewhat successful.
yeah.
All right, does that end our play of League of Legends? Sorry, Legends of League.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next game then.
Yes, please. For our final game for this batch, we have City Painters.
And let me go to the settings. And I really like that they actually include
Yeah, it is very
volume
nice.
controls because it was a bit louder. And
And I particularly love that they have
oh yeah,
the actual statement of sound. Good job.
absolutely. Yeah. And the music is quite nice, jazz, and maybe it fits in the game in a bit. So they do have controls here.
Well, let's go see what controls do.
So WSD to move. I mean, I think they do have like a tutorial. This is just to
All right.
make you
Unlike the
remember if you
last,
forget.
just like the last one,
Yeah,
I won't jump to
exactly.
conclusions just yet.
Okay, let's start then. Level 1. Oh, so it tells you objectives. Paint every
Paint every
tile.
tile using 14 paint or less
And
in under 10 seconds. Okay.
so because it's a first playthrough, I would just not care a lot about those. But later on we'll see how it goes. Okay, so
Oops. At least they put the WASD, like they have a little hover to remind you. Okay.
yeah, and the music is also really nice.
Yeah.
There's a timer here which I suppose is going to start when
Once you
I
push your buttons. Yeah.
yeah, okay. And
Yep, there it goes.
so it painted the tile and I can see that the paint here goes
Ah,
down
yep. Yep.
and I can't really do anything else. I mean,
No,
except go
you can
back, but
just,
yeah, I can't go into the uh, water
yep.
and
It's showing
take
you
a
the
photo.
constraints and practicing the
Hmm. Okay, so I got paint every tile, complete
So
the
here's something. You were supposed to use 15 or less, but you could only do 16. Why? Why wouldn't they just say, well, that's the best, so using 16 or less?
what do you mean?
So you used 16 because there were 16 tiles that you had to walk along.
It was actually 14, but because I pushed back on a few times, that's why.
I see.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I miscounted.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, that's a fair thing to say, but because I realized I pushed back once or twice, so I
Right.
repainted the same tile
I see. Paint every tile
to unlock the
to
goal.
unlock the goal.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me try to go to the goal without. Okay, it doesn't say
Yep.
anything, but I.
Could you run out of, what happens if you run out of ink? Go paint before you hit the goal. Oh no, he's out. Ooh, you just shrank into the paint.
And there was also, I don't know if you noticed, but after I completed all the tiles, the goal here, the flag,
Yeah.
became uh, available. So it tells
Yes.
me, yeah, you completed the goal, you can finish the level.
Perfect.
Yeah, next one. Oh, that's an interesting level. And here I have to paint over myself.
Yep.
Make sure you don't run out of paint. Oh, this feels very close.
Huh.
This is exactly the
Yep.
minimum I can do, I think. Uh, art, quick crossover. Okay, let's try that. Oh yeah, okay. I really like how it's very quick. Like there's no loading screen. It doesn't
Yeah.
take you out of the
Yeah.
game. It's immediate. So I always like that. Uh, yeah, I have to paint over myself a bit. And okay, yeah,
Okay. I feel like, wait, some of the gray tiles won't consume paint. Okay, so here's another mechanic we've got, but I feel like I need to start us on looking through the marking criteria. So you keep playing and we'll walk through. So we're going to, as always, start with presentation. Audio, we have said, is absolutely lovely, and it provides a little extra in terms of, so we have complementary and appealing effects and music, and we are giving them some extra brownie points there for
mm,
providing audio's level controls and acknowledging where they got the music from.
yeah,
All right. Then we're going to talk about graphics. I think in the same vein that they're appealing, they're exactly right. It's complimentary, very nicely done on those too.
yeah,
And then we've got key information. Um, so you've got, ooh, you get multi-paint.
yeah.
I missed that while I was reading the marking criteria. Uh, so let's see, you've got the information design around um,
Yeah.
oh, that's cute that you actually have to go back to get that purple square purple. There you go.
Yeah.
That's adorable. Um,
Oh, it's starting to get harder.
it is. So you need to finish your red before you go to go get yellow.
Yeah, and then I can.
Go get all your others. Yep.
Okay.
That was cute. Okay, sorry, I got totally trying to solve the puzzle myself instead of doing the marking criteria. So I think all information is shown clearly, or all key information is shown clearly. I think the only thing that I might be feel is missing a little bit in this is here, stay here on this end screen for just a moment. So
Yeah.
we in every case it's paint every tile, right? Um, and even when you're changing color, like there's a little tutorial stuff that comes up of certain tiles may need certain colors, but right that second star, complete the level using how many, 21 paint or less, right? The goal number, what you could or
Mm-hmm.
should use it in. Part of me wonders if um, that or even the under 12 seconds needs to be displayed because I've forgotten, are they all under 12 seconds? Are they all under 20 seconds? Um, how close are we? Do we know how close we are in terms of what the perfect completion on each
Mm.
board is? And that's the only piece that might be a little bit missing.
So I know for a fact that if we go here, you can see the stars
Yep.
in the levels,
Yeah.
and if you click, it does say.
Yeah. But I
I
want
see, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I want this information when I'm playing the board so that I know that I need to get 24 paint or less or 12 paint or less
I see.
or
Yeah.
how many seconds or less, right? Because I mean there have been times where knowing actually you can go back to a level at this point, pretty
Yeah.
please. Um, we have that timer sitting there, but it's just I mean obviously we are going to try as quickly as we can, of course, but but yeah, like we don't know really are we doing particular so this one you got a 3 star, but
I
we didn't
see.
really know that. Like how close were we, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the part that I think is missing from this a little bit.
maybe, yeah, you're right, but at the same time, it feels like for a first playthrough, I don't care about the
No,
time.
you didn't care at all. I don't think it's, I'm not even taking them down. I'm just taking them a
Aha,
slight
yeah, yeah, yeah.
shade
Yeah,
between,
it's
yeah. So I think meaningful play is where we're at now, bugs, controls, and mechanics. So I have not seen any bugs. And the question becomes is how complex are we in this game? So I actually think so you can move, you can, there's a timer, there's amount of paint, there's changing
different
paint
paint,
colors,
yeah.
there's keeping that paint on the board. I think we're reasonably complex
Feels like that,
and no
yeah.
bugs. Yep.
And maybe
Um,
later we will see even more mechanics, in which case
yeah,
we'll have to.
yeah, exactly. Um, then we've got how do the controls feel?
Oh, wait,
Reasonable
there
and
is
smooth,
a jump.
intuitive. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, yeah, so they're very, yeah, they feel perfectly fine, very intuitive. Uh, yeah, yeah. It, and now that they've also introduced the jump, that's a really nice. You know, when I press space, you can see how he's like
Yeah,
getting
he
ready to
gets
jump,
ready.
and
Yep.
I can, and then, jump, and there's like a small jump sound, and it's really cute.
That's excellent. Okay, so we're gonna say it's smooth and intuitive.
Oh, wait. Oh, that's an interesting mechanic. So I can actually skip over a tile
Oh, oh, isn't that cute?
to actually.
Oh, that's adorable.
And they teach you that as well, which is really nice because I don't think I would have thought about that.
That's really nice. Excellent. Okay, so let's well, we're talking about mechanics right now. So let's run through really quickly the mechanics we have. You can walk, you can jump, you can there are tiles that you don't paint on, tiles that you do paint on. There's paint that you pick up. Um, there's paint that so you have to figure out how you're going to get to a bit of paint or not. Um, I actually think you've got a wide range of mechanics, which is interesting because often sometimes these kind of reasoning games like this, they 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 don't have such a wide range of complementary mechanics, but this one definitely does.
Yeah, and we are not even halfway through, I think. I mean, we'll see in a bit.
Yep. So let's talk about level design, goals, risks, rewards. Um, so clear and coherent set of goals, risks, rewards. So the goal is to paint, not run out of paint. The risk is running out of paint or not getting to the end or using too many hops to get there or running out of, or too much time. So I think there are risks and rewards that are obvious and they're doing this from the star system. Are they um, clear, coherent, and well balanced goals, risks, rewards? I actually think they are.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh. Oh, yeah, they also have that mechanic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So aim up, down, left, or right with the mouse, and left click to shoot a paintball.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I'm happy where they are in the mechanics.
Paint all white buildings to unlock the goal. So I can, for example, let's see.
Shoot, shoot.
Ah,
Oh, yes.
and here as well.
And you only have a certain number of paintballs, so you can't
As
shoot
well, yeah.
randomly.
I mean, let me try to. Okay, yeah. Does it say? Yeah, 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 yeah.
Perfect. So I actually want to go back to our mechanics since we've gotten here. Um, are we suddenly at complex and complementary mechanics?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like yeah, the way they've introduced quite a few things already.
Yeah. And I love how actually they're going together in this. There's the jumping over things to not track your paint smeared feet. I think this is a really well done piece in terms of the mechanics. Um, in this game.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, let's see, what's our next one is going to be talking about pacing. I'm so sorry. Um, so I think our tension is clearly rising over time in that the landscapes and the spatial reasoning is getting that much harder. Are we tension rising over time in a coherent pattern?
I think so. It definitely is.
That you have to use these mechanics in a certain order in order to get them.
Yeah, and it's like it introduces a mechanic, and then the next few levels are mostly using that mechanic and in progressing difficulty, which is really
Right.
nice as
Yep.
well. So yeah, there's definitely.
Yep. All right.
Let me actually go to the menu. I want to see how many levels. Yeah, okay,
Yep.
so I suppose that was the last mechanic that they introduced with the buildings,
Okay.
which is, I mean, quite a lot already.
Yep. So let's talk about the tutorial level. We are at a gradual explanation of gameplay and controls fully aligned with play and sometimes communicated through level design. I think we're very clearly there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me.
Maybe one, like the level design itself almost always is in aid to the tutorial.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So it feels, yeah, it feels really good as well. The way, and for example, the level select, you can also see the different colored levels, which are the different mechanics,
Yep.
and which is
So,
also really nice.
what do we think their core dynamic is?
I think it feels like spatial reasoning.
It is definitely a spatial reasoning game to me too, and that's what they think, which is great. Um, so all of their mechanics, and we've talked about the entire time, they all are definitely an aid of spatial reasoning. Um, and even though there's kind of a bit of a resource management thing going on with the paintball guns and that you can run out of them, it does not in any way overwhelm that spatial reasoning problem.
Yeah, I think it completely makes it even better because now you have to think how to move and reason even more about the space and all that. So I think it makes it even better
Yep,
in that
yep.
regard.
So I think we are very clearly at, and especially because we've had that tension around the paintballs, right? And it's a clear dynamic that is supported by an integrated set of mechanics. We're very clearly there. Let's talk about the feedback that they were given and how they've addressed it. So first was make sure it's clear to the user what's happening within each level. And so they said to clarify the impact of certain features in the game, we added new elements and animation that should direct the user's attention and notify them when something has happened. For instance, when the player collects a resource, the UI flashes, it updates. In response to playtesting, thank you for playtesting. That is one of my favorite statements ever. We also add several intermediate levels where new concepts are introduced to reduce the cognitive load on the player and they can solve one puzzle at a time. Very, very good and well executed on the feedback. So the next piece they received was make sure mechanics are clearly explained in tutorials, especially regarding paint mixing. How are they introduced in combines? So to clarify how the paint mixing mechanic function, the player is introduced to various colors and their interactions over several tutorial levels. Each one practices an aspect of that mechanic, which reduces the time and effort required. And I agree. I think they did it really well done. They make a point that during playtesting, I love that you did playtesting. During playtesting, there was some confusion surrounding certain levels, so we opted to add some text-based prompts to help guide the player as necessary. Nice. And what is the risk versus reward is one of the other pieces of feedback questions they received. And they decided to introduce optional objectives for each player to complete, which were adjacent to completing the level. The paint objective tests the player's ability to find an optimal solution, while the times how long it takes, and the player has the option to collect these objectives separately. Um, and they've done that really well. There's always that tension of like, well, if they only focus on time, does it actually become like a race to the end game? Or what's the point of trying to get all of the squares covered? Like they have in this case balanced that spatial reasoning and still made you want to play with different reward functions depending on how the player plays. But well done. And then the final piece of feedback was, are the levels going to be big enough to see all on one screen? If not, how are you going to know when the finish line is open? And then they basically said that most of them were on screen. The camera will follow the avatar as they move, so they can view more of the level as they navigate it. They also added a flag icon next to the timer at the top of the screen that will light up and flash with the goal is unlocked. During
Yeah.
playtesting, players showed no confusion about whether the goal was currently locked or unlocked. That was well done. I think in this case, I'm happy to say that the feedback has been interpreted, addressed, and changes have been successful.
Yeah.
And I think at this point that finishes our play of City Painters. Sorry, I mean, you can keep playing you on if you want to, but that's
Yeah,
the
it's
end of
really
the
fun.
batch.
Yeah.
Thank you for playing with us.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, so thank you for the games.